Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I am Mahnaz from Afghanistan, and I am a member of Siam Umani Business Lab. I will be your host for this part of our program. We have gathered here today to talk about the existing possibilities in the digital world that can benefit human beings, with our amazing speakers that seem to share one thing in common, that they're all trying to make the world a better place in a way through technology. My colleague Khadir will continue by presenting them.
Good morning. Thank you for everyone to be here. And my name is Khadir. I'm from Somalia. I'm a member for Siam Umani Business Lab. Siam Umani Business Lab is the cooperative social enterprise for the youth, Italian and foreign, including immigrants, for the sharing education and experience for the enterprise. So it's not only the cooperative for the social, but it's the community for the culture and integration for the youth, Italian and foreign, including the immigrant. So I would like to thank Technotown who organized this beautiful location today to hosting our speakers and our guests. And so I would like to thank Asibod who organized this event, festival, culture, and the social. So the first of all, I would like to thank our speakers with us to being here. And so now I will ask our speakers to welcome in and ask to welcome in our guests to our speaker. And also I would like to ask for themselves. Welcome, Simone. Matteo, sorry.
So thank you, Kadir. Thank you, Manat, for having me, and thank you for being here today despite the rain. So my name is Matteo, and I think I'm here just because in the last 5 years, I think I had been working in the that's my point of view. It's a bit peculiar. I work for Meta. And for Meta, I saw the bad guys. And for them, my job is to manage their event space, which in our corporate language we call them. We refer to it as a community hub, which is in Stazione Termini. So it's a place which is open, inclusive, and free. So we host event related to innovation, social inclusion, and we do it for free. So the amore.
Oh,
For free.
for free, yes. Yeah.
So it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you, Matteo. Thank you so much. Welcome, Ludwika. Our speaker, Ludwika. Welcome to your
Thank you.
themselves. Yep.
Thank you, Makadir, and thank you very much for inviting me. My name is Ludovica, and I work for a social organization called Ashoka, which is an international organization that is based in more than 90 countries worldwide, and we work with a lot of social entrepreneurs, and I will explain a bit more what we mean by that. And I work on the education programs that Ashoka has in Italy. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Ludwika. Simone, welcome.
Hi. Very happy to be here. Very happy to meet you all. My name is Simone. I have two hats. Let's say one hat is the daily hat. Actually, I have three hats. One is I'm his dad. Second is that, and it's 24/7.
Yes.
Then there is, during the day, I work for Varda, which is a startup focused on facilitating access to farm and field data. It's a startup. During night and at weekends, I have an NGO that I co-founded 3 years ago, which is called Jenga Lab. Jenga means build to build in Swahili. And what we do as an NGO, we try to help NGOs and civil sector societies to leverage innovators and technologies in the areas where they do operate. So trying to work with the innovators, not transferring technology with the old paradigm, but rather working with them. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Simone. We are very glad to be here to your son, and so we are very happy and it's very beautiful with the little man who is growing this innovation today. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, Marcia. Sorry.
No.
Bye.
I'm Marcia. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for inviting us and for your patience in ahead, because I think he will be making his voice heard. I am a communication for development specialist, and if you don't understand what it is, don't worry, I didn't even before I started working in the field, but I will explain a bit more later. I work for the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization as a consultant, and particularly I focus on engaging youth in the agri-food system, so trying to rejuvenate a bit the sector through a more informed participation of young entrepreneurs. And over.
Thank you so much, Marcia. Now, my colleague to be continue to asking the question is our speakers, and thank you so much. Welcome, Anas.
So my first question is pretty similar for everyone, but I would like to hear Matthew's answer first. How could the digital world help us identify our passions, hobbies, and cultures? And how can we use the digital world to express ourselves?
So thank you. The question is of course I think that one of the answer is all of us here today on a Saturday morning, despite a rainy day. This is the proof that it can enhance something. As during the previous panel, we have shared that technology is not neutral, and of course I agree with this point. I think that technology, it's an accelerator, and I think Rosanna said before, technology has always been there, but like in different shapes, in different and with different objectives and means. It's about how humans decide to use it. So, I will briefly share one thing about me. I'm a huge music fan, and few years ago, I couldn't even listen to the kind of music I listen to today. Not just because of Spotify, but even because you have podcasts, you have online reviews, you have Instagram or TikTok accounts showing you the new music trends. So to me, it's really a way to, I would say, it accelerates the knowledge, at least the way you can be exposed and have visibility to what's happened. Then, of course, it's about us. It's about the human beings being curious and being consistent with the way we use technology. But I think we're going to discuss it a bit later.
Thank you so much. Amazing answer. Thank you. So my question is pretty similar to you also. How could the digital world help us identify and grow our passions, hobbies, and cultures? And how can we actually use the technology to apply it in our social lives?
Thank you so much. I don't know whether it's possible. I would like to show 3 images, and I would like the public to just react to those. And I would like to ask whether you know these people. And I brought a bad example. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
That's fine.
So, do you know any of these 3 people? Any name? Kardashian, yeah? Kim? Mark? And then Jeff.
Matteo.
Jeff, right? So we know them by name. We know them and we know where they all work. What do they do? We know, and it's very complicated to explain for the 3 of them. Next slide. Do you know any of these? That's okay. That was the point, actually. So that's perfect. So in the first 3, we have a very, very common name in the digital space. We use them. We know them for their job and what they created it and their main objective. I mean, despite what they do, they make a lot of money out of what they do. You know, Meta, and then we have Kim Kardashian with social media accounts, and then Jeff Bezos. We don't have to explain that. what I would like to say is that there are a lot of different people that are working in the digital space and are using it very consciously. And what we do at Ashoka is actually finding them and to enable this empathy to solve social problems, to actually activate change and systemic change. So I brought these three because to me they are very, very interesting stories. I'm not sure how deep I can go with the explanation of the three. But Rosy Russo, she's an Italian lady. She's a social entrepreneur that has founded this organization that is called Parole Ostili. And in English, it's like words or styles, but also ostili means also hostile words. And she works for enabling the digital space to become a space where we use words consciously and with empathy and a discourse that goes against the hate speech. And she has built this manifesto, which is 10 principles of online wording, and she goes around Italy and make people sign this manifesto, especially in big companies like, for example, Sky, or like all the companies that work with digital spaces and digital communications. Second person, she's called Yeshi Milner. She is the founder of Data for Black Lives. Again, a very interesting case of conscious use of the digital. She basically was struck. She had a very interesting personal story of discrimination, but she was struck by the fact that data in the US, especially, were sort of in the hands of only white people. So the people who were actually collecting data on which they were building policies, he agrees, I think, were just collected by white people who were actually creating instruments to collect data. Therefore, these data were biased. Hence, she has founded this community of people of all nationalities, where they come together. Not only they share capacities and skills for enabling everyone to be able to, use mathematics and algorithm and to be able to collect unbiased data, but and they also build this algorithm and this in a different way so that they are unbiased. Last but not least, another example of very good use of the digital. I have to say he's my favorite because I actually met him, and the human aspect. He's Jimmy Westernheim. And if you go on his website, basically, you enter an online library of experiences of mental health. Of experiences that people have about mental health. So you can go in, it's free, and you can just check, for example, I had a bad day at school. And then you get all videos of people sharing where they had a bad day at school or about discrimination. So what he wanted to do is allowing people to have this emotional language, this emotional vocabulary to actually express what they have as a key to activate change. I'll just pause it there. I would go a bit more in deep, but maybe we can talk about it later. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the answer. Thank you. And I want to ask the same question again from Simone. How could the digital world help us identify our passions, cultures, and hobbies, and how can we express ourselves through technology?
Well, I've been using technology since when I was really a kid. I started with the Commodore computer, so really the old days, and I'd say that it's really I've been using digital technologies for work, for passion, and everything in between. And more than once, the two things sort of blurred one into the other. So I found girlfriends on the internet. I don't know whether they will say that was a good experience, honestly, but it would be up to them. It was good. So, I mean, I found love, I found friends. I was able to connect in ways I would have never imagined 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So it's been really a way to connect with people, to find friends, to find like-minded people, also to find people I definitely did not agree with. So somehow in the past few years, I don't know whether it's me, but I tend to find more things that I do not like. Maybe I'm getting old, or whether it's the way the internet works. And then touching upon what Matteo was saying, huge fan of music. Do you remember the Last FM days where you could actually see, okay, now there is you're listening this, so you could find someone who was listening the same music. I actually, one of my best friends is someone when I was a researcher in New York. I was there, and there was Caparezza coming to New York. So I said, I found that there is this other Italian sounding name, interested in the concert, and I reached out and said, are you Italian? Are you actually going? Oh, yes. Then it was from Sardinia, and we're still friends nowadays after, 12 years or so. So it's been really a way to link up, to connect, to learn a lot, to expand my horizons, I'd say, very much. And for work, same thing. For work-related stuff, it's been the same thing, because I've been using technology to try to, originally to work for people in need, and more realizing that I had to work with people in need, and I was in need as well. So, it's really been a way to sort of do things together, collaboratively, or try to do our best with that. So, all in all, I think I'm not really a fan of, and I think this maybe sort of dropped in the past few years. We used to say, the real world and the online world. There's no real world and online world. It's both real words with different expressions of ourselves, not necessarily one truer than the other. So, that's been pretty much my experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm really interested to hear Marzia's answer to the question, how could the digital world help us identify our passions, hobbies, and cultures, and how can we express ourselves through technology?
So just adding my 2 cents to what other colleagues have been saying, I think we all agree, we are all enthusiasts about technology, and it's like a golden gate to a world of wonders. We all know the potential is limitless. And, just as a new mom, for example, I've been using apps for, tracking, getting updates while I was pregnant, weekly updates on the baby development. And then even when I started labor, I was tracking the frequency of contractions through an app because I needed to keep more track of time. Breastfeeding, all of it. So I totally using technology in every single moment. And as a young person, let's say, I think it may be interesting for you, but I also think I really share this with most people. I found my career path through the internet. Let's say I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I just had, keywords in mind. I wanted to work in international development. I wanted to use my communication background. I wanted to do something that was participatory. And just by using keywords, I found the remnants of an old website of an event like today's. I digged into the list of participants. I found emails. I contacted them. One of the 20 that I emailed responded. And then I have more or less, long story short, I landed my first job at the UN. No, it was like that. So definitely, I think I agree that it has changed our lives. It's embedded in every single thing we do. But I also, I'm among the ones that constantly remembers the divide that comes. Structural, societal divides are reflected in digital divides. So we cannot think that this is just, the wonder word, no? Because there are many people who are left out of it. And this is what I try to embed also in my work practice. But
thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. Kadir will ask the next question.
Thank you so much. So everyone and our speakers, thank you for that answering the questions. So we continue to ask the next question. So now my question I want to ask it to special for Marcia. Marcia, this question. My question is, how can digital technology support the socio-economic inclusion of youth?
So I think the youth are a good example of these divides. We consider that youth are at the forefront of digitalization. Like they are the best ones. They are the most familiar. They are digital natives. So they know better than anyone else what to do. And actually, global statistics tell us that this is the case. Youth are much more connected to the internet and actively using internet compared to the adult population in the world. But then, if you go beyond this and start looking at inequalities, you will find that the digital inclusion of young people is uneven. If you just look in the developed world, developed countries, 99% of the youth are on internet. They are connected and they use it. But in least developed countries, these numbers drop dramatically. So if we look at the African continent, which is the one with the most youthful population, you will find that 60% of the youth are still offline. 60%. So he's going to be online too. So,
Kept him out.
So what I do in my daily work, even though I work in the agricultural sector, so there's a lot of hope that the youth will be the one who will bring innovation in agriculture, especially in developed countries, in developing countries. No, you think that these countries are going to do what is called the leapfrog, so they are going to jump all over some stages of development because there will be young people who are tech savvy and will bring innovation, so will just bring development in the agricultural sector, which is also a bit aging. Farmers are a bit old. But in this world of enthusiasts, I always have to constantly remember people that young people are not necessarily all there, and those that are online are the elite. So if we want to be equal in bringing also development, we need to look at what they were saying, that offline and online are two sides of the coin. So any strategy to engage people online, which is the core of my work, try to engage youth in agriculture through the digital technology, needs to look also at the offline part. I could share a lot of the work we do in Guatemala. In the African region, we have a platform for young agripreneurs, so entrepreneurs in agricultural sector that are connecting across borders in the entire African continent. But I think what is most important here to share also for the sake of time is that there's this approach that we are using. It's widespread. It's called human-centered design. So we go back to the keyword of our panel, no? We use technology, but the center of everything we do should be the humans behind it. In particular, those that are going to be the users. So even if there's a team of tech people that are super cool, they know all the latest digital applications, etc., you always have to take time to sit with those who are going to be using the technology and develop, or there's a nice word that we use, co-design. So we share the design process with the guys who are going to use it. So I don't know if, I don't want to take time from the other panelists, but if there's time later, I will share more concrete examples.
Thank you so much, Marcia. So we have another question is from our guests. So we give some more time. We can come back. So now I would like to ask you the third question. My third question is Simone. Simone, how is the digital world affecting this country today? In which sectors digitalization is more advanced, and which sectors there is room for improvement in your field or in your own experience?
Okay, I have to take the AI question also, if no problem. So Italy is quite a peculiar country, as we all know. It's pretty much, I would say, it's pretty much in line with the trends, with the mega trends of digital technology, the pervasiveness of digital technology across societies. Even though there are some outliers, here and there, so we are always sort of different in one way or the other. One interesting thing is that clearly the pandemic impacted quite a lot our use of technology. You know it very well. Think about the fact that, before the pandemic and after the pandemic, overall in the world, there was like 1 billion new social media users. You would probably got a bonus, and so forth. So just 1 billion new people using social media. And when I say social media, I refer to instant messaging app like WhatsApp, Telegram, and so forth. Clearly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. So 1 new billion users, much money and time spent online. One interesting, and this is consistent with Italy. This happened with Italy as well. One thing that is also consistent is the fact that right after, we observe, when I say we, it's a we community. There is an interesting report from Hootsuite and We're Social, and they basically measure the fact that people tend to spend, started to spend less time online, like 5% less time online, right at the end of 2022. But at the same time, the number of time spent across social media remains stable. So yeah, we are spending a lot of time online, although somehow differently, and Italy is pretty much the same story. When it comes to Italy, an interesting thing to me is that we shop online less than before, but still one thing that we didn't do before, which is shop, do the grocery stores or buy food and stuff like that, actually that's increased. So let's say within the framework of buying online, we buy online more food than before, although we spend a little bit less before than pre-pandemic times. So by and large, we are in this big mega trend of using technology across the whole society. At the same time, and getting back to Marcia's point, there are some gaps here and there. So in Southern Europe, there are 20% that even though they're covered with mobile internet, they do not use for mobile internet, and this happens for a number of reasons: awareness, ability to actually use technology, agency, being able to do something with the technology, and so forth. Affordability, which is also an issue. And one interesting bit to me is the fact that in Italy, around 37%, according to the OECD, of the people is able to actually use meaningfully and in a complex way digital tools. All the rest is not, which means that, and we're I think second to last in OECD countries in that. So while we use a lot digital technologies in Italy across sectors for personal reasons and so forth, we are not necessarily prepared to use them in a way that really benefit our own purpose. And so we're somehow passive receivers of technology, the majority of us, which is, to me, a problem. So digital literacy is something that I think is not, we are not doing as good as we could here in Italy, and we should do better, exactly because the more you know how to use, the better, you can use it.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you so much. Now, my colleague to be continue the question is another of our speakers. Welcome, Manas.
I have a question for you, Ludovica. In what ways can education help children and young people to become digital change makers?
Thank you. And I think this actually follows very well after this. So we talked about how much we use the digital space and how much young people are exposed to the digital space. And I have another question for you, but without a slide this time. Don't know whether about schools. So I work in schools in Italy, so I will make some examples. But do you know, any of you, what happened on the 20th of December 2022? It was a big day for the pardon?
For the America.
No, for Italy. So basically, Valditara, the minister of the MIM, so Ministry of Instruction and Merit, decided that young people could not use mobile phones at schools. So he actually sent some guidelines to school prohibiting mobile phones. And that was a huge day for us because there were a lot of debate around, oh yes, that was the only thing to do because students are distracted. So we removed the mobile phones. And that was pretty much the reaction to a lot of teachers and school leaders had. Those school leaders or teachers that were somehow unable to do. That was the reaction that this teacher had, because when you go to school and you read books or you do a more traditional way of doing education, of course, mobile phones were a problem. But I know a lot of other teachers and school leaders, because we have in Ashoka a network of schools that are using technologies and digital space to actually enhance learning. So they were using mobile phones to actually give classes, So they were like, we have spent 2 years learning how to use mobile phones to actually make the education relevant for our students. And now the minister says, no, you cannot use that. So we have to readapt again. So, the point that I would like to make is that that's a very personal opinion, but in a digital world, there is no way you can prohibit the use of social media or mobile phones or technologies. But I do believe that the schools should really take on this responsibility and make sure that young people use the digital in a very aware way. Ashoka, the mission of Ashoka is actually to make a world where everyone is a change maker. Change makers are like the social entrepreneur that I showed you before. They are beings that are very empathetic and they are very creative. They are super entrepreneur and entrepreneurs and also know how to collaborate with it very well. These are all competencies that I think that are really important and where school can have a huge impact on reinforcing them for the students. And I would like to, if that's possible, again, show some picture. Otherwise, I can just narrate them in ways in which in our schools, I see the digital being used in a very, very interesting way. So the first one is the digital space can help schools become more beautiful. You know, beautifulness or beauty calls for responsibility. So if you have a very nice space, it automatically helps students to be responsible because they have to take care of that. This is a public institution in Modena, Istituto Comprensivo, where they actually created a museum in the school. So it was during the pandemic, they couldn't go to the museum, so they brought the museum into the school. It's just like frames where you can project images of paintings, and students can have classes in this space. Then the second slide, this is for creativity. This was a primary school. As you can see, there was this young lady drawing things on a line space, and they were also printing 3D. So there was a class made on this, and throughout the year, they learned how to draw online things and then print it 3D. You know, it's a way for primary school to really foster creativity. Third slide, this is the robotics at schools. Again, this is primary school. I bring this example because usually there are not many examples of very good use of the digital in the robotics, especially in primary school. And here is for critical thinking. So these children are helped to program very basic robotics, and they do it throughout the year. This is like experimentation, but then they can choose where to send them, and then they have to program it. And as you can see, this is a way to actually foster a lot of different competencies, but first of all, like critical thinking, because they have to make choices of where to send. And then last but not least, this is at a high school, in a high school. So, and this was a way to actually use the digital for history, to value history and memories. So there was a group of students that actually went to Auschwitz and took a lot of pictures, and then they decided to bring it to virtual reality. L'istituto, the institute is called ISIS Europa near Napoli in Pomigliano d'Arco. And they have always created this with a teacher. And if you go, it's called La Memoria Rende Liberi. Yeah, and it's fantastic. Like you can go into Auschwitz virtually, and then you have all the resources that the students have elaborated upon these inputs. And you have texts, and then you have their reflection, and then some of them made drawings on what they felt during the visit in this. So I thought these were good ways in which schools can actually incorporate the digital into the didactics, so that they can experiment this space and actually make the most out of this in order to make some social impact of. That's what I believe. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Matteo.
My next question is for Matteo, which I'm really interested to hear the answer. How can artificial intelligence help culture development without dehumanizing it?
This is a very huge question, so thank you very much. And as Simona, if you're happy to help me answering, as you were suggesting earlier, so the question is huge, and I would like just to share my view on it. I'm not a tech expert. I would like to say that my experience is how technology can help human having conversations. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Konrad Lorenz, who was like an ethologist. He basically is the guy who invented the thing called imprinting. So he was during the 70s. He wrote this book. I know the Italian name, so I'm sorry. The Italian name is Il gene del male. Basically, he says that animals, even deadliest animals, have a social mechanism that help them preventing from killing each other. So like wolves, lions, they of course could kill each other, but they actually do not do it. So he says that thanks to the evolution, animals had the time to develop those mechanisms. Now, humanity has a problem. The problem is technology. Technology is way faster than the mechanism that can help using technology in not only in a good way, but honestly, like preventing bad use of technology. And so my reflection is AI. AI is a new tool, and like I think that in the mainstream conversations, I think that AI just arrived like less than 6 months ago, more or less, and it's something which is totally new. I think that we are now, as humanity, facing a question, and the question is, should artificial intelligence, like for example, being subjected to being regulated? So just to which level? It's a state level, a regional level, like for example, it's an European Union level of regulation that it's needed. Should we think about AI as cars? So like cars kill people if you don't drive them as you are supposed to. So probably should artificial intelligence being licensed as we do with weapons, with cars, or even like with drugs. This is my honestly, it's just my view, and I was just I was thinking about it during the previous panel, which was very, very interesting to me. So now, how can we use artificial intelligence without dehumanizing ourselves and our human beings? And I think that what we are saying right now already suggests some answers. And in my experience, one would be digital literacy. As Simone was saying, he gave us an overview of the Italian situation, and the Italian situation, it's not that good. So we know where we can improve. Digital, like in my experience, we do a lot of programs when it comes about online safety. Before the pandemic, online safety, it was just about in the public debate, it was just about kids. So you only had to train kids, but right now we like going to school, talking to students and teachers and parents. We and the partners we work with realize that you have to take into account and involve into trainings parents and teachers as well. As you were saying at the beginning, kids already are digital native. They already use technology. They need to, in my view, be helped asking themselves sometimes the why question. So why am I doing it? I know how to do it, but why? And I think this should be the role of schools, as Ludovica was mentioning, but even families and teachers. So digital literacy is, to me, for like as Italian, is definitely something we should be working on. And I mean, like as it's I think that it's valuable to mention that the fact that when cyberbullying became an issue, it wasn't even perceived. It was perceived as like, yeah, okay, it's bullying, but it's less dangerous. Well, it's not. it's exactly the same thing. So as we were mentioning earlier, online and offline lives are pretty much the same. So this is, to me, that's the first step, the first thing that we can do. But then, to me, it's as I was mentioning before, it's a regulation topic, and by regulation I mean that states needs to come together, needs to co-design the way AI can be useful. I mean, it's of course going to definitely be useful, but it still, to me, it's still a bit early. We need to understand the risks, not just, and I'm not just referring about jobs. Of course, we're going to lose jobs. AI is going to replace the working class. It's even about it's even about mental health. I don't know if we're going to have time, but mental health, it's one of my favorite topic, and of course, it's not just because of my job, but in general, like if we have like teenagers right now are affected, are showing fragilities that we haven't seen before, and we have to take it into account. So I don't know if my answer is definitely not complete, but I would refer to AI as a new kind of tool that we still don't know. And to me, right now we have AI. In 5 years, we're probably going to have a new technology. We don't even know how to name it right now. But the approach to me should be that from one hand, invest in education, and on the other hand, having a conversation at the state level, at the European Union level, to regulate those new tools.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the presentation.
Well.
So this brings us to the end of our panel, and I would like to thank each and every one of you for attending here today. And thanks to our dear speakers for giving us the honor of having them as a part of our day. And thanks to Technotown for hosting this event in this great location. And thanks to ASIPOD for organizing this event in collaboration with Siamo Umani. And a special thanks to Francesco for being such a great leader.